So my goal today is to get enough of these to add them to a wine. They kind of resemble a mini huckleberry. Sweeping that forest floor with these. What's up? Coming at you again with another foraging adventure day today. Lindy and I are out here going after one of our favorite berries in the woods.
Candy.
The Jolly Rancher berry. The candy berry. Just kidding, that's not actually its name, but they surely do taste like Jolly Rancher. In my opinion, we'll get into what it's actually called and the ID factors in a bit here. But for now, let's keep walking, get into the area where they're at, and we'll show you some more. All right, we are in the berry patch now. In fact, the berry patch is very, very large. It's practically this entire forest that we're in. And the berry that I'm talking about today, or that we're collecting today, is called the Grouse Whortleberry, also called Grouse Huckleberry. Scientific name would be Vaccinium scoparium, if I'm not wrong or mistaken. I'll blend it in the bottom. It's one of the most prominent ground cover species in some of these old growth montane forests out here. You know, usually it's just a berry that's very tough to pick because there's not a lot of them out here, at least there's not a lot of berries on the bushes. There's a ton of bushes, they're little shrubs. But this year there seems to be just like this boom year for berries in general in Montana. I've lived here now for 4 years. This year it's just really insane in terms of like how big the berries are, how many berries there are, and that's for several species that we've encountered so far. So this year it's really worth it. They're a really important plant for grouse species and other birds. They're a really important kind of like summer to early fall food for the grouse. They're also a great ground cover for a lot of mammals and other animals because they are, you know, so low growing on the ground and really thick. And even, you know, larger mammals like elk, mule deer, moose, they will feed on them or browse in them. And it's not a great food source for them, but, you know, because it is so abundant and available, it is a decent food source, I would say. So I'll talk about ID factors later. For now, we have our nifty berry pickers that we use for huckleberries, and I don't know if it's going to work well with these berries because they're definitely, the berries are smaller than huckleberries. So we'll test it out. If not, we'll just you know, pick them by hand. Oh, I got horse flies all over me. I've probably killed like 6 already. Yeah, if not, we'll just pick them by hand, and it seems to be going pretty quick here. Got our blickies, so we'll just try to get as many as we can. There's also strawberries out. Maybe we'll find a nice patch of wild strawberries on, you know, that would be kind of the cherry on top. So let's get picking, and then I'll talk about a bit more about the berry. I'm just picking by hand now first, just to see how quick it goes, get a feel for it. I'm not too worried about collecting leaves. I can separate those out later. Lindy, has the berry rake been working for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually working pretty decent.
Yeah, it's working a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah, this is gonna go quick if we can keep doing this.
You encroaching on my turf, dude?
Yeah, I am. What? This is your berry patch or something?
Yes. Very much so.
Dude, if people knew that there were Jolly Ranchers growing in the forest like this, man, what do you think they would do?
Eat them all.
I think Jolly Ranchers would go out of business. Okay, so here is a close-up of the berries. Let's talk a little bit about ID factors, why don't we? So first of all, as you saw earlier, it is a very low-growing shrub. These are dwarf shrubs. They, I would say, probably grow a foot, maybe 2 off the ground. You can kind of see, here's a good example. And they're very green, almost like a pale green. They kind of resemble a mini huckleberry. You can see right now all the berries that are on there. Berries are red. They're definitely huckleberry-like in shape and form, but much smaller. Usually the berries are red like this. I've seen them get a bit purple too though. The plant is multi-branched from the base. You can see there's a lot of different branching going on. Very much broom-like in appearance. Like I could see these being a great plant to dry up and then use for broom material. If I needed a broom made from some wild stuff, what would you call it? Wild materials, I would choose probably this plant out here in Montana. Now, like I said, the twigs are green, as you can see here. Sometimes they can be a bit yellow, and they're really smooth. The twigs, that is. Really smooth. No thorns or anything like that. The leaves are alternate. As you can see, they go alternate up the branches. They are serrated on the margin, a little bit wavy, and land-shaped, lands to oval-shaped. And I feel like, every time I look at them, the bottom seems to be paler. And sometimes, if we go over here, here they're kind of like a nice light green, and here they're more of a different green. I don't know how to like a blue-green almost. So I guess how I would describe it. So there's none here right now, but earlier in the summer there will be flowers on these, and the flowers are really tiny too. They're single flowers, so they don't grow in a cluster, hanging off the branches, and they're almost like urn to bell shaped, slightly pink. Really pretty looking for flowers. But at this point, all we care about are these berries. My God. It's kind of interesting. Like I mentioned earlier, the first year in 4 years that I've lived here that I have seen this many berries, and I think it's really a boom year. And it's very similar, like, it's just like with acorns and other wild nuts where you'll have boom years and bust years. And during those boom years, the conditions are just right, the temperature, the moisture level, the general soil nutrients and whatnot, for the plants to be pumping out a lot of berries. And that in turn then lets wildlife populations grow because they have more food, and it just has this cool effect on the whole ecosystem. And we're in one of those years, I think. Definitely. So real quick, where do they grow? Well, we mentioned that they like the Rocky Mountains. In Montana, they all grow on the western half of Montana, and in general they grow on the western parts of the United States. They like these subalpine old growth forests with acidic soil. They are the Vaccinium species, so they are a type of blueberry, and they tend to like those acidic soils. They're also associated with lodge pine and larch trees as the overstory. We have we have a mix of pine here, some spruce, some Douglas fir, some normal fir. So general conifer forest, I would say, is what I would be looking for. And then I also see them a lot in association with moss, at least around here. So those are all just some things to look for. But once you know about these, you will be amazed at how abundant they are. They're all over the place, which is really cool. What's your favorite thing about them, Lindy?
Tastes like candy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this about us, but we don't really eat candy often.
No, we don't. But I'm also a fan of eating seasonally. I think there's value to that. And when you start foraging, you can eat seasonally and you can treat yourself. with wild berries and sweets from nature. Okay, we are on the move now. Gonna keep pushing further up. So this is kind of cool. Here we have the Grouse Whortleberry. And then right here we have an actual Huckleberry. You can see this one isn't ripe yet, but that's a Huckleberry, way bigger. What I like about these rakes in particular is that you can tell they're not that damaging to the plant. Like, I'm barely picking up any leaves or branches here. Some of the berry rakes out there can be pretty aggressive. Another cool thing about these berries is that they spread by rhizome. So I was reading that they actually, they can obviously spread by seeds. The berries have a lot of seeds in them that birds move around and animals and hungry foragers like us. But for the most part, they will spread with their rhizomes, and the seedlings are pretty rare, so that usually only happens, if the conditions are really good, like in a really good year and a really good spot where everything aligns. You'll see new seedlings coming up. That's what I was reading, at least. But that is kind of cool, I think, and that does also tell me that if you can grow them by seed, or if they do grow by seed, you can take some home and try to not propagate. You could try to propagate them with the rhizomes too, but take some seeds home and try to plant them on your property. If you live in the Montana mountains and you have the right conditions for them, you could maybe establish these on your land, which is pretty cool. They're thick around this stump here. I've noticed that around the stumps, the brush or the shrubs usually get a little bigger. It's just a little pattern thing I've noticed. One bummer is that if you have a spot of these and they do a lot of logging, I guess they're really susceptible to logging and just clear cuts. They can really decrease in numbers if that happens. And it takes quite some time for them to establish again. Well, I just did a forager's mistake. With the rake, I accidentally pulled a whole shrub out of the ground. You can see under the ground, they're definitely a lot woodier. But this would make for a nice little, broom. Can start sweeping that forest floor with these. Do you think they're little forest gnomes watching us right now, cursing us out for stealing all their berries?
Why they sent all their bugs to us.
Seeing bushels like these makes me really, really happy. It's August 2nd right now, just for some reference if you ever want to find some of these yourself. Right here we got a pretty nice specimen. A little bit of a larger shrub. Some berries on it. When it's in this moss, you can really tell which ones they are. So as far as I know, they are not evergreen. So I think this is an old one from last year here that was just laying in the ground. If you do decide to use a berry rake, I've accidentally pulled a few out of the ground now. So what I've been doing is just kind of grabbing them like a bunch here and pushing down a bit with my left hand, and then I'm working my way up those branches with the berry picker. That way you're less likely to pull the plant out of the ground. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in one of these berry rakes, I have a foraging gear list on my website, theyearofplenty.com. It has a link to these. They've definitely been a big help today, I think. So my goal today is to get enough of these to add them to a wine. Last year I made a wild berry wine with wild strawberries, service berries, choke cherries, and I had only a handful of these in there. With how many we've been getting today, I think we might even be able to do, maybe half of these, half choke cherries, for example. I think that would be a good combo. The choke cherry bringing in a bit of tartness and even bitterness, and these guys bringing in a lot of sweet and sour. I think that would combo pretty well. Historically, I know that these were picked a lot by Native Americans. There's some medicinal benefits to them as well. What did we read, Lindy? I think one of the tribes used actually the leaves. You can use the leaves and the branches to make tea. They would use that against nausea and induce appetite.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
By the Cheyenne people.
Cheyenne. Oh yeah, the Cheyenne tribe. So maybe we'll have to get some leaves and try to make some tea out of them too. I've never done that. That would be a cool little experiment. But you know, they can be eaten raw. They can be eaten cooked. Overall, pretty versatile berry. You know, you can make the usual with them, jelly, jam. Just get creative with it. I never really know what to say about like what you should make with berries in the kitchen, because berries are so versatile. It's really just up to what you want to make with them. What do you get excited about? It's starting to get dark though, so I think we're gonna head back to the trailhead here pretty soon. And then hopefully we'll find some more strawberries on the way. We saw some earlier, and strawberries are also really plump this year. Lots of wild strawberries. I honestly think these and then the wild strawberries are probably my two favorite berries. But then I've said that about a lot of different berries, like service berries too. Just most wild berries are just a great food source. They're not easy to pick in terms of like caloric and efficiency. You know, I do still firmly believe that hunting brings in the most calories. Foraging is just kind of like a side thing to get in some micronutrients and just some like survival food. And I think that's how it was for humans for most of our evolution. I think hunting was how they got most of their food before, you know, agriculture and all that. Because I mean, we have these tools, you know, but you really need an army of people to get a lot of berries to pick them quickly. Although, you know, back then they would have probably had a lot of people just focusing in and zoning in on this, like picking berries. But, you know, if you watch Alone or any of those TV shows, the guys that usually make it, they're the ones that are getting some sort of big game pretty early on.
Pretty good harvest.
Pretty dang good harvest.
Dang good.
Let's see who got more, me or Lindy. I think...
It's about the same. I just got a lot more sticks.
I think you win. Yeah, I think Lindy wins. Pour them into mine, and then at home I'll sort them out while we watch some TV shows later. Nice. All right, we're at the end of our little adventure for today. No strawberries, but if you're curious what wild strawberries look like, I'm going to blend in a video here.
They look like a tiny strawberry.
Yeah, they're super flavorful though. Have a lot of flavor, so you don't need a ton of them.
If you think of like a store-bought strawberry, that flavor times like 800 in a tiny berry.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But super happy with what we got. Definitely enough to add to my wine for this year. And I'm sure we'll have a video later in the year on how to make that wine. We're just gonna sort these out now at home, freeze them up, and then, you know, you can pull them out of the freezer whenever you're ready. As always, please harvest that subscribe button. And, you know, give us a like, leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you have any other topics you want to address, that you want to chat with us about, that's always greatly appreciated. Feed that algorithm for us. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Bye.